As the running social media boom continues and the sport evolves, companies are managing to develop products to help us get that extra 1% out of us during training and on race day. Or are they? In a world where sponsored content on social media is at an all-time high and content creators are partnering up with brands left, right and centre to promote their products, I wanted to take a deep dive into the ones that I've tried and feel work, and the ones I've tried that I feel you guys might be better off avoiding. Now this all came about after a lovely long-term viewer dropped a comment congratulating me on a recent race performance and said basically, I'd love to know over the years you've tried a lot of products, which ones do you genuinely recommend and which ones do you feel you would now avoid? So I'll break it down into three categories. I'll go through the ones that I feel really work for me, the ones that are okay, they are definitely worth maybe testing but potentially you might not get the best out of them or they might not be for you, and then the ones that personally for me I'd avoid hands down. So let's just get straight into it. I think the first one that was in her list was gels and super shoes. She mentioned a couple of products in there and I think from my perspective I hadn't even thought about adding those into the list because they're so non-negotiable for me now, but I'll throw them out there. Yes, I wouldn't be without super shoes. If you saw the previous video where I compared the Adios 9 and the Streakfly, you'll again see the marginal gains that you can get from shoes with carbon plates in them, and of course those Streakflies aren't even the big stack ones that we might consider using on those longer races. I would not be without them, and super shoes, I love to save those for race day. When it comes to gels, again, I wouldn't be without those as well, especially if we're doing the longer distance races like half marathons and marathons. We need all the carbs we can get, and especially for me as well as a bigger runner, I know I need more fuel than some of the more normal size people out there that enjoy the sport of running, so I definitely need to get the carbs in, and for me gels are just a great way to do it. I haven't agreed with all the gels, and again that could be a completely separate video, but from my perspective gels and shoes are absolutely non-negotiable. Her comment also mentioned ketones and bicarb. We'll come to those in a second. The next one I want to say that I would never be without is a massage gun. I have owned a massage gun for probably about 6 or 7 years, and from my perspective, once again, from a recovery standpoint, it's the one thing that I would not be without. I've owned a variety of massage guns over the years. I've purchased one with my own money and I've been sent them by brands, in particular this one here, Bob and Brad. They reached out and sent me massage guns, but as I said, I purchased my very first one and I have never ever gone without using a massage gun. I use them on a weekly basis, pretty much after every hard session. I've learned how to use a massage gun better, and I feel like that knowledge in itself makes a massive difference when you get them, because I think what a lot of people do is take a massage gun and just rub it over their muscles and think that it will help, and it does to a degree. But actually what you can do that's really useful with a massage gun is put it on some of the pinch points or the tendon ends, just gently push and then stretch your leg out, because ultimately what we've got is our muscle fibers within their sheaths and we're just trying to get them moving nicely again, and when we get muscle knots and they all get twisted up, we're trying to just release those, and so just by rubbing over the top of that, it's not necessarily going to do the release that we need to those muscle fibers. So I find that if I push the massage gun nicely on those tendon ends and then just elongate the muscle out, I often find after about 5 or 10 goes of that, my muscles start to feel a lot better. So again, completely non-negotiable there. Plus I will just throw in a lacrosse ball as well. I use that in particular on my glute. That is an absolute godsend as well. So basic, so simple. Those are the ones that I use for recovery. Bicarb is up next. That's one that again, since testing it out last year, purchased with my own money. I have not now raced without it, and in fact actually it was really interesting because I did a 1 mile time trial last week or the week before, and I actually didn't use it in the time trial, and I did feel a difference. So the first time I used it, I thought to myself, I use it on a regular 5k time trial route that I love to do, and often I know in certain areas where it gets a bit hilly or whatever, I can push a bit harder, I can start to feel that lactate just building in the system, the arms start to tingle a bit and get a little bit heavy, and I start to have to control myself a little bit before pushing on, just let things simmer down, and I just did not experience that with the bicarb, and of course that's the whole idea of bicarb, and I'm going to go into the science of it, but of course I would love to just recommend a video from one of my friends, Matt the Welsh runner. He did a great video on the science of bicarb, so you should definitely check that out. He goes into much more detail about how it's beneficial for us runners, but of course the history behind bicarb is bodybuilders have been using it for absolutely years, runners have been using it for a very, very long time. It's just like a lot of things, come to the forefront, come into the mainstream a little bit more recently and become very effective and a little bit more popular. And so since that time trial where I noticed that I didn't get my system flooded with lactate, I felt like I could push up the hills and over the top of the hills and ran a personal best on that time trial course. I thought, okay, I'll test it in a race. And again, I had a winter of hilly courses to do and absolutely zero burning sensation in the arms, zero feeling of any lactate building in the system. It was such a wonderful sensation. I'm sure a lot of you have been there where you're pushing on your limits and you can start to feel your arms, your legs, your chest getting a bit heavy, everything's starting to tingle a little bit. I get absolutely none of that. So again, I would not be without that now. And just to remind you, I purchased this stuff with my own money, and I in fact have just placed another order only the other day because I've run out. And the final thing in the absolute list that I would no longer be without is Ketone IQ. So just a disclaimer, I do get sent this stuff, so I don't have to pay for it. So take that into consideration. I don't push this product a lot on my channel. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I told anyone to check out the link in the description. I just like to use it, and I showcase that on race days. How I find this effective is I've really started to home in on the caffeinated version of this. I do use the normal version sometimes before runs, but mainly now this is my race day fuel. So when I'm building up to a race, I have my main fuel around 3.5 hours out. I'll have my bicarb 2 hours out, and then I look to get about 200 milligrams of caffeine in the system around 35 to 40 minutes before race start. And I mix that in a combination of Ketone IQ. This gives me 100 milligrams, and then usually a caffeinated gel, usually the Maurten gel, which I purchase those with my own money. A lot of people take coffee. I cannot have coffee before a run. I will myself. I've tested it a few times and it has never worked. And I think I'm going to say this without it being a sales pitch, but hopefully it gives you an understanding of my mindset. But I think because I can offer you guys a 30% discount code, I think if you purchase the box, I think it works out roughly around about £3.50, £3.60 a shot, which does sound expensive, absolutely, but it's also the price of a coffee when you go to a coffee shop. So for me, for someone that cannot take coffee, I find this to be just as effective. I love the feeling of being wired and switched on. And again, if I didn't get sent this stuff, I would now purchase it with my own money. I will, however, say though, I would use it more sparingly, probably just save it for race day. So I am very grateful I get sent it. But again, this is one of the ones that I wouldn't be without. So let's get into a couple of products that I feel are good, but maybe not essential for you or me. We'll kickstart with the Pure Sport Muscle Balm here. I've used this and the Freeze Roll. Disclaimer, I should probably say I used to purchase this with my own money. I then became a brand ambassador for them, so I did get sent it for a bit. I am now no longer a brand ambassador, so I no longer get sent the product. And so why is it good but not essential? So for me, if I'm feeling extra sore, so obviously I've already explained about how I use the massage gun. It is absolutely fantastic. If I'm feeling extra sore, if I've had a really hard workout, if my legs are feeling really beaten up, if I'm in high mileage, I will do the following: hot bath, Pure Sport Muscle Balm, massage gun, in that order. So I have a hot bath, nice and relaxed, put some of this on when I get out, wait half an hour or so, let this sort of start to absorb in, and then I will use the massage gun after that. And with this, I use a gua sha. If you've not seen one of those, it's just a little metal scraper tool that, again, I talked earlier about the muscle fibers. It's so important to loosen those muscle fibers, and with a gua sha tool, you kind of just iron down those muscle fibers. So it just irons out any knots. And I find after a hot bath, this then makes it easier to apply this and iron those out. And then the massage gun makes it the ultimate combination. I feel like with a lot of influencers and people marketing this product, they'll often say that this is the muscle balm that you need, but I don't think a lot of people really know how they should or shouldn't use it. And I think a lot of people purchase this stuff and think it's going to be the magic cure to their aching legs. I really hate to break it to you, but it's not. I come from a day and age where I used to play football a lot. I used to go into the changing room, it used to stink of deep heat and Tiger Balm, and I used to slap that sort of stuff all over my legs before getting out there and playing football just to get rid of any aches and pains. So I'm used to using this type of stuff. I know how you're meant to use it. I know how effective it can be, but I also know that it can be really mismarketed quite poorly. And I think a lot of people can pick this up and just put it on and use it and go, well, it's not working. I've just wasted all my money. So that's why I think it's good, but it's got to be used in the right way. Otherwise, just avoid it. And the other one I want to mention is magnesium. Again, this has been quite popular across Instagram and YouTube to be having before bed. I'm really sorry, I'm not targeting Pillar here. This is just the brand that I have on my desk. Again, I feel it's good and I have had good results from using magnesium. I have found my deep sleep, because I do track all my sleep using my watch, to improve when I'm using this, and I do feel really good when I wake up. But for the most part, I can usually get a relatively good night's sleep anyway. So for me, it really is marginal gains. I'd probably consider using this sort of stuff if my mileage was in excess of like 100 miles a week and I really was looking for those extra 1%. But for me, at a stage where I'm running, let's say 60, 70 miles a week, and I can get some decent sleep, 5, 6 of the 7 nights out of the week anyway, with maybe 1 poor night's sleep thrown in there. I don't tend to find that it makes enough of a difference for me to warrant using it. If you suffer from poor sleep, then absolutely it might be worth trying it, because I definitely do feel a difference. I just, for me and my level, don't feel it's necessarily enough to warrant using it or splashing the cash. Just again as a disclaimer, I was sent this product for the purpose of review, and I have been sent other stuff by Xmiles, other magnesium products. I've had good success with it all, but as I said, marginal gains, and for me, I'm not quite needing that stuff just yet. So let's get into the final section. Which things would I personally avoid? Well, I wouldn't touch AG1 or any type of daily green supplement. I'm sure they're good, and I'm sure that they do some kind of decent job for our immune system or our bodies. But I think the reality is there's a couple of reasons I avoid it, and I'll let you in on a little secret in a second. But I think the first thing is, if you're not getting any type of balance in your 7-day weekly cycle of diet, then that's what you need to address more so than looking at trying to chug a bit of daily greens first. Don't get me wrong, as I said, I'm sure it does a good job. I know people that have taken it, and I have heard positive feedback from it, but I often feel like there's a fundamental issue there if you are relying on it to get in your daily nutrition. The ultimate goal you need to think about a runner is, what are you getting in over a 7-day period? Because on some days, if you're doing heavier runs, or longer runs I should say, then you might be a bit more carb focused and a little bit less fiber going into your system, a little bit less vegetables, and very much more plain rice, pasta, and whatever else like that. But on the days that you're not running, or potentially on the evenings after all your runs, are you getting in the goodness that you need? And if you are, then really, do you need AG1 or any type of daily green supplement? Potentially not. And the other thing I just want to share with you that I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to anyways, I've been approached 2 or 3 times to do advertising with them, and basically it's a very generic email that gets sent out, and the strapline is effectively that myself or any other creator could earn up to 50% commission, and I know the commission is very high per sale on these products, and I also know how much they market these products, or how much they sell these products for. So the honest truth is, they must be making this product for peanuts to be able to offer the influencer that high of a commission to then flog it for the price that they do. So again, instantly that was a huge turn off for me, and I just was not interested in doing anything with them. And the second and final thing is more advice than anything more than a product to avoid. And yes, it's a little bit controversial because I use all of the products that I'm about to say, but if you're a new runner, so yes, I'm talking to you specifically that's maybe been running less than 6 months, maybe even less than a year. If you've picked up this video and you've watched all the way to this point, please do learn to run and understand your body, because the sport is a wonderful thing, and there are so many gizmos and gadgets out there that are going to help us and potentially more experienced runners track data, track everything that they want to know. But ultimately there's a fundamental there of understanding your body and how you run. So if you're going out there purchasing running watches, heart rate monitors, lactate meters, foot pods, whatever it might be, to try and dictate your training and tell you how to run from the get-go, you are setting yourself up to fail. And I hate to be a bit brutal and a bit honest, but you really need to understand breathing patterns. You need to learn actually how you feel and not let technology dictate. So I'm not trying to put you off buying any of this stuff, but if you are a new runner, I'd strongly recommend just using it in conjunction with trying to learn your body, how to learn about breathing patterns, how to learn how you feel at certain efforts. When I coach athletes, I'll often talk to them about working to feel and trying to understand how they're feeling at a certain pace. So maybe even in the beginning, it's about, right, go and run this pace, tell me how you feel. Run this pace, tell me how you feel. Whoa, you feel like that at this pace? That's where you need to lock into in the future. That's the effort level that we're looking to target. That is exactly what we're looking for. Just doing these little tests here and there that are going to allow you to understand your body is far more important than gizmos and gadgets. So I'm not necessarily saying to avoid buying them at all, but please don't buy them if you're going to use them to completely dictate your training. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on those running products. Over to you guys. What have you tested? What have you bought into the hype of, purchased and been really disappointed with, or bought into the hype of, purchased and now would not be without? Please do drop a comment below. It'd be great to hear from you guys, because you guys share some incredibly invaluable feedback for so many people to read and enjoy. And this is quite the topic really, so I think it'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Obvious ones that I haven't mentioned: I haven't tested massage boots, so I can't comment on those, and I've never used a running app for my training, so again I can't comment on that. But anything else I've missed, or if you have shared experiences that I've talked about today, please do drop it below. If you have contradicting opinions or you agree with me, I'd love to hear from you. Please do let people know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, guys, and want some training plan advice, some brutally honest training plan advice, check out this video up here. That should help you. And if you're interested in knowing what might be slowing your progress down in running, check out this video down here. And I'll see you guys over there.